So I have been wanting to make this video for a little while, but I wasn't sure what angle to take. If you only consume mainstream media, you wouldn't have noticed a wave of support radiating towards the West African country of Burkina Faso and their charismatic leader Ibrahim Traore. To contextualize his impact, I was in Cologne and there was a show in his honor. I love to see this, and there have been countless YouTube videos made to explain what President Traore means for Burkina Faso, the African continent, and the black diaspora around the world. And then I had a little wobble asking DeepSeek to compare Ibrahim Traore and Thomas Sankara, and the conclusion featured: Traore invokes Sankara's legacy but has not yet, in brackets, matched his revolutionary impact. With that sentence burned into my eyeballs, I do respect Ibrahim Traore, but I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about my GOAT, Thomas Sankara, who is definitely on the Mount Rushmore for black men with upper lip hair only. Damn. That is a sexy mountain. Anywho, I have this book which I have read at least 3 times, and I will share my favorite 10 quotes in no particular order.
Take a step in my direction. Walk my way.
Thomas Sankara was the leader of Burkina Faso from 1983 until 1987, murdered by someone he thought was a friend and murdered with the support of the West. President Sankara gave Burkina Faso its name and even wrote its national anthem. And here is Sankara in the supposed home of fashion, making all the French soldiers drown in his sauce, the original aura farmer. I would go as far as saying that Thomas walked and even ran so that President Traore could fly and empower people around the world. I really hope Ibrahim can fulfill the promise made over 40 years ago. So, let's get to those quotes. You cannot free slaves who are not conscious of being slaves, of their situation of slavery. Capitalism presents a deceptive illusion of freedom. However, non-participation leads to marginalization, poverty, homelessness, and ultimately a diminished existence. The revolution and women's liberation go together. We do not talk of women's emancipation as an act of charity or out of a surge of human compassion. It is a basic necessity for the revolution to triumph. Women hold up the other half of the sky. And to be honest, you would struggle, absolutely struggle, to find this kind of progressive thinking from liberals today, because liberals are going to liberal. Women, like men, have qualities and weaknesses, which undoubtedly proves they are equal to men. Woohoo-wee! My man is a poet. But yeah, I'm struggling to detect where the lie is, to be honest. And this was said in the 1980s. Can't accuse him of being woke. There was no wokeness back then. It is peasants, creators of the nation's wealth, who suffer most from the lack of schools and school supplies for their children. Peasants within this context is not used in a derogatory manner, it is just referring to the working class. And this statement is true for every society currently living within this global system. We have no intention of telling you that communism is good, nor of telling you the opposite. We intend only to tell you that we will take actions with you and for you. The label that will be pinned on these actions matters little. And he's absolutely correct here again. Let's just think how much was spent on Red Scare propaganda. Just even uttering the words communism would most likely get you thrown in a prison back in the 60s and 70s. Even today, people continue with this farce that communism is such a dirty word. But when you actually speak to them about the policies which communism champions, they agree with them 9 out of 10 times. And this might be my favorite quote. But as revolutionaries, as soon as we began to consider ourselves revolutionaries, we knew very well that the world we live in is not revolutionary. A quote so great I had to put it on a shirt, which often reminds me of another important quote. As revolutionaries, we don't have the right to say we're tired of explaining. We should always explain, because we also know that when people understand, they cannot but follow us. And this quote is really good because it kind of makes crystal clear why Jeremy Corbyn is still in Parliament doing all of the work he is doing, given the absolute hell he was put through during his time as Labour leader and afterwards when he was expelled from the Labour Party. Imperialism is over there in the Middle East, crushing the Arab peoples. That's Zionism. Imperialism is everywhere, through the culture that spreads it, through its misinformation. It gets us to think like it does. It gets us to submit to it and to go along with all of its maneuvers. For goodness sake, we must stand in imperialism's way. Said at a rally in March 1983, the Palestinians, men and women who roam from place to place, the wandering people of Zionism, these men and these women for whom the nights are a succession of nightmares and the days an avalanche of mortar shells. In Africa, we are directly confronting colonialism, neocolonialism, and imperialism. The fascists, the Nazis who exist in South Africa, created apartheid against blacks. The struggle against apartheid is not only the struggle of blacks, rather it is the struggle of all peoples who want to live free and united. Damn, this guy is really my goat. Whether President Ibrahim Traore will try to fulfill the socialist dream started by Thomas Sankara remains to be seen. But he has the Americans fiending to do another coup, like Spider-Man putting on the black suit. So Ibrahim Traore is a threat to something America is trying to do. Also, according to Wikipedia, Traore is described as being influenced by Marxism and Pan-Africanism. So the force is strong within this one. Sankara has been offered up as an example of socialism done good, or a Marxist-Leninist before they had a chance to go bad. But really, he is another instance of a black revolutionary being chopped down prematurely. We can't definitively say whether these impactful people would have been good or bad for the full liberation of all black people. We just know that the powers at the time couldn't risk finding out. President Ibrahim Traore has energized people around the world. I just really hope nobody will be disappointed. With that being said, get Thomas Sankara's book and read his words for yourself. Couple that with what he actually did within his time as leader, and you will quickly understand why he is a very much loved historical figure. Even Wikipedia, the establishment-friendly Wikipedia, writes, his domestic policies included famine prevention, agrarian expansion, land reform, and suspending rural poll taxes, as well as a nationwide literacy campaign and vaccination program to reduce meningitis, yellow fever, and measles. Socially, his government enforced a prohibition of female circumcision, forced marriages, and polygamy. The same Wikipedia starts an article on the Gaza genocide with, according to a United Nations Special Committee, Amnesty International, and other experts and human rights organizations, Israel is committing genocide against the Palestinian people during its ongoing invasion and bombing of the Gaza Strip as part of the Gaza War.
If I speak, I am in big trouble. In big trouble. And I don't want to be in big trouble.
Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.
If you're looking for someone who really understands, take a step in my direction. Take a step in my direction. Walk right.